So I wasn't planning on doing a video for this weekend, mostly because I want to focus on the Magical Girl podcast. But I figured that this would be the perfect timing for me to do this video. So if that bothers you, I do apologize for that. Now, for those who are wondering, though, why is this video up anyways? Because ignore this video any longer. I mean, this is just me thing here, and we're gonna work about it from here, though. So get the video started, and yeah, we'll work on it from there, though. And let me tell you, I do not have nice choice words for what I'm about to say about Rebeccah Starlight. I mean, yeah, I already did a take on video about her, but I figured I might as well on with this video and just work on it from there, though. So if that bothers you, I do apologize. So without further ado, let's get started. And be warned, there will be a lot of narcissism in this video, so be
Hello
aware of that
there,
too.
it's me, Rebecca. Not Star Giant Productions or whatever. I just want to talk. As a normal person, no sketches and no gimmicks. Just my voice, being as serious as I can. So last week I released a video on my channel. It was called Addressing My Abuse. It was the worst video that I have ever made. And that includes all the terrible
Okay, we're not even a minute in, and we're already getting something that's really bothering me. Rebecca, do you not see that you made that editing? I don't make big mistakes such as that one. Then again, I've only done as much video as I could, but still.
edited videos I did for the Mysterious Mr. Course is all of them. I am not a fan of videos I did for the Mysterious Mr. Enter, which of course is all.
I don't normally do live action like this, but considering the subject at hand, I figured it would make me more serious. Okay, I don't show my face on camera even after that techno video, but making yourself more serious. Yeah, because when I do something in live action, I just say, hey, I'm more serious. Wait a minute. Am I getting something here? No? Okay.
All of them. I am not a fan of who I was in the past, especially 2020 and 2021. Those were probably the two worst years of my entire life.
Okay, Rebecca, no offense, but 2020 and 2021, whether you like those years or not, though, even though most people would agree, yes, those years were awful, what makes you think that it was just your tough time? Now, granted, that's when I started watching your videos in 2020, but you're talking to a dumb flamingo. Of course, I would watch something stupid as that.
2021 especially. I was bitter. I was a quote unquote narcissist.
Wait, you were a quote unquote narcissist? Okay, guys, remember she said this. Remember that she says she's a quote unquote narcissist. Remember that.
I said terrible things. I shouted at people. Even into 2023, I've been angry. For the original abuse video, I yelled at my editor Will, who did nothing wrong but continually delayed the video just to make it better. The fact that he stayed my friend is a
Same with Maddie when I trust for a basic 10-minute thumbnail, even a basic thumbnail that could be done in 10 minutes. I should have still given him way more time. Okay, Maddie did say this in the live stream. I'm going to say this to you, Rebecca. You did not just rush him, but you also did not pay him. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, you should have given him more time. Obviously, you're not a good boss, Rebecca. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people keep coming to you all the time, saying things like, oh, but I'm doing everything I can as a boss. Look, I'm the boss, except for my own channel. I'll say I'm the boss of my own channel. But even in spite of all that, though, you had plenty of time to give them, and then you go on to say this shit. Oh, I gotta even with a 10-minute thumbnail. Okay, I will admit my thumbnails are nothing spectacular either. I will admit to that, but even I'll admit when I do my thumbnails, I don't take 10 minutes to make them unless some people say that maybe a professional artist could do so, which 10 minutes is not even enough for a professional artist to do so. I don't even know how long it takes for an artist to do a thumbnail, but I can definitely tell you it takes more than just 10 minutes. Proceed.
Miracle. Anger is definitely what I've been feeling. I wasn't happy with the person that I was. Some things I need to go by in the present. I have gotten better at my editing and proud of my own videos on my own channel in 2022 and 2023. I am not a narcissist. I did not abuse anyone or groom anyone ever or allow grooming. I stand by all of this.
So, wait. I still never groomed, but in 2020 and 21, okay, even if with that said, however, Rebecca, I'm just gonna stop you right there. About the grooming thing, which, yeah, you'll address that by the end of the video, I'm still gonna stop you right there. You said you did not allow grooming. Well, I hate to be that guy, but you said this, and then Mr. Enter, who did a video on you about how you should be in prison by now, it's really no secret to me. You didn't allow just one, not just two, but three child predators in the server. What? Like, does it take that long to find the fucking ban button? I mean, I'm not a Discord user myself. I'll admit to that right away. But even with that said, I still find it hard to believe you couldn't just ban them after 1 second. That's just pathetic.
During the middle of the pandemic, I was at the point of no care, where nothing mattered to me anymore.
Oh, you were no care.
Like, basically, it was always a new issue going on, and I just stopped caring about
If you don't
everything.
see me bitching to other people all the time. I mean, yeah, I will admit I can be a bit bitchy at times though, but I try to keep it to myself at times, even though, yes, at times I try to not let it out to people because I don't want them thinking I take it out on them. I wouldn't want to do that, but considering that this is what you're saying to everybody, yeah, I'm not buying it. Not one single bit. Oh boy.
Like, I'm pretty sure that every single person in existence had, like, a bad time in the first years of this decade.
Okay, everybody, I will say, wait, what the? Hold on.
Regardless of
Wait, what did she
everything
say
that
again?
has
Oh my
regardless of
god, I'm trying to
everything that
pause
has
there so you can
happened, I need to
respond
take
to me.
responsibility for my own actions for this decade. Like, I'm pretty sure that every single person in existence had, like, a bad time in the first years of this decade.
Okay, there's so much to unpack here. First off, what do you mean by just by this decade? Are you saying that no one had a hard time even before then? Like, I'll admit, yeah, I go through hard times, but it wasn't just 2020. I go through rough times even before that and even after that. I'm still going through rough patches because of my mental health and everything, but even so, I still try to motivate myself into doing something that I want to push myself into make myself do and then myself not doing. Like, have you not heard of motivation? And second off, I also forgot to mention that during the pandemic, I kept working while a lot of other people were off. Okay, I worked too. I worked a lot of times, and so did my folks. But Even then, I still have yet to ask, what does that have to do with just yourself, Rebecca? Some people were working too, not just you alone.
I have a huge.
Thank God. Bad people.
Regardless of everything that has happened, I need to take responsibility for my own actions. I said shit like how queer is a slur, which is offensive to those that reclaim it, to the point that one of my closest friends from high school actually got in contact with me to tell me that the Q word can be used for good, as long as it isn't in a derogatory way. Those were her actual words. And this is something I said last week. Like, she
Sure you
contacted
didn't
me
come up with
last
them on
week
your own?
because of the video I made last week. The reason I thought it was a slur was because my family used it just like how they used the N slur, hateful way. I also thought we both dismissed
Wait,
it
what happened
just
here?
like how they used the N slur, hateful way.
No, we didn't use it regularly just years ago from what I remember. Okay, I have to ask this because this is getting on my fucking nerves though. Why is this text green when other of your other texts are white? I mean, yeah, you could have made it into a black screen. I don't know who was your editor or something like that, but even so, that was very inconsistent. Just saying.
I also thought with both The Simpsons and Family Guy using it as an insult meant that queer was a bad word. Not realizing that millions of people actually
Queer is
are
not a
fine with that
bad
word and
word,
would disagree
Rebecca.
with me and
Hell, if
saying
that
that
was
it's
the
a slur.
case, what the fuck? If queer is really a bad word, what the fuck does that have to do with the community in of itself, though? That'll be like me saying that I'm masculine and stuff like that. I'm gonna say, oh, I'm queer because of that. And also, I fucked up shit about people on Social Security. That was wrong for me to do. It's my fault. No one else's fault. Yeah, keep telling yourself that because as someone who's disabled, along with the younger sister, I mean, we're never saying we would never say that in a million years. Yeah, guys, I'm really apologizing in advance if I'm stuttering all the time, but this woman just has to say something like this. How Social Security? Oh, oh, maybe everybody else should get a job. Do you understand that there are many different kinds of disabilities out there? Not just autism, but other kinds of disability. And even so, even if we can get jobs of our own, just keep in mind not everyone has the advantage to do so. I mean, oh, my younger sister, I know she wouldn't be able. She's not able to work, but I usually work as a person who takes care of kids and everything.
From what I gather, it's not a slur in the present.
It's
This was
not.
completely ignorant and wrong of me. I heard that it's best to address the minor things first and then snowball to the bigger things. The most infamous thing was me letting a groomer on my server for 8 months. I'll get to the major things later like that. Let's start with Mr. Enter. When
Yeah, let's
John
remember that.
said if more people were on the level of this, we'd be living in a far worse world now, wouldn't we? From his top 10 worst videos on his channel that he did recently, I got pissed. Because honestly, we'd be living in a far better world if more people like me, kind, generous, caring for others.
Whoa, 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 whoa! I thought you said you weren't a quote unquote narcissist, and then you say that you're kind, generous, caring for others. Okay, Rebecca, I'm gonna riddle you this right here and now. If you really think that these are good traits that you necessarily have, I got another thing coming for you. Not only do you not show these traits, but you really don't ever show them, period. Like, ever since the time you started saying that you're not a narcissist and then yet you still see these good traits, yeah, I did comment on this video when it was archived by Ray Rants, and I still have yet to ask how the hell do you expect me to believe you're not a narcissist, even though you said these good traits? Not only is it narcissistic, but it's also very egotistical. I don't know what to say, though. I hate to be that guy, but yeah, you can say all these good traits all you want. I'll admit some good traits of mine are something like that. But I don't blurt out saying them because there are times where I don't even outright admit it, though. I mean, I'm not the smartest person out there, I'll admit to that, but even so, I still have yet to ask, what does it have to do with you being a good person after that? Yeah, because when you're a good person, you've proved yourself you're a narcissist. I fucking hate my life, don't. Yeah, I fucking hate my life.
I mean, if John doesn't think I'm actually those things, that's perfectly fine. To be
No
fair,
one
he could have meant just my editing,
don't-
but because I don't think he word his words the best, it could honestly come across as either or. But
Wait. What did she say?
for his words the best, it could honestly come across as either or. But
Being a horror? I'm sorry, I can't understand what she's saying, but even with that said, however, even if I put the captions, I highly doubt they're gonna go with what they say on there. But even with that said, however, Rebecca, I can at least assure you, as someone who's not a fan of John, I can definitely assure you he was right to fire your ass after that.
I think he meant my editing in the end.
Another inconsistent caption. In that case, yeah, we would be in a far worse world. Okay, few things. Even if you could ignore that you've never wanted to talk to John or anything like that, and if you don't want to forgive him, okay, it's one thing you don't want to forgive him, but it's another when you realize that you must have some kind of Stockholm syndrome if or something like that because you keep plagiarizing everything in his channel just to make it your own. Look, it's one thing to be inspired, I'll admit to that, but like I said in the inspiration versus plagiarism video, you have to understand the difference between those two. Otherwise, people are going to get suspicious and saying that you're copying off somebody. I mean, my friend Miss Shia, I will admit she did do a video on someone who stole a lot of things that weren't claimed by him, but she put in happened in that video, which I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see that for yourself, guys. Thing doesn't want to work with me.
And no, this isn't supposed to come across as me being better than John. That's not the point of this video.
Then why the hell make it then like that?
I decided to stop making YouTube my job and decided to make it just a hobby from there on out. With the exception of DuckTales to DuckTales. For the best. I used to rush people process me not the hobby from there, the money portion.
Used to? You're say you used to, but from what I gather, you've been doing it constantly. Even if you did say used to, that doesn't make up for what happened, though.
Giving them very little in return just to make a profit.
YouTube is not a place for business or profit. It's best to make a hobby. My rushing was okay. I'm still gonna have to say this right here and now. All these apologies are surfing through one thing, though. You keep going, but and something else, though, and also you do realize that even if YouTube, yes, a lot of people do it as a hobby. Hell, I do it as a hobby with my podcasts and everything, like my take-ons and everything. But even with that said, however, I still have yet to ask this one question that's been bothering me for quite some time, though. Do you not realize that not everybody in the YouTube community goes through, say, what money or anything like that? I'm just gonna say this right here and now, Rebecca. Not everyone makes money on YouTube. I mean, I don't make money on YouTube, and I don't plan on making money on YouTube.
In the beginning, I gave people random numbers for money. Now, in the present, as of 2022, I have an organized system. Here is a screenshot what I pay people.
See, this was back when she was still on Twitter and on YouTube, and wait, I want all these done within 20 years. By 2042. Okay, let me ask you something, Rebecca. Did you fail at math or something? I mean, math is not my my best subject. I'll admit to that, but what in the hell does that have to do with you thinking otherwise? Like the fact that you really make me believe that this is how you want them done. You want them done by 2042. What the fuck? I mean, even if that does take years to make, don't forget there's people out there who have lives outside of the internet. Like, yeah, our internet time is our free time, but even so, what the hell? Like, let's see. It says edited because I fixed a typo change. Yeah, you should have fixed something else too, though. Like, say $4 per Ryan animation reviews. Yeah, that's cheap. $5 for base. Okay, this is borderline cheap territory, though. I will admit the $30 range right here. I'll admit, yes, this does look like you have a lot of cash on you, but you make Mr. Krebs look like a better person to pay off his employees, and that's not a term I use lightly. Like,
In the present. The pay is better now. But if I was back then, I only have one defense why I was bad with money. I gave them what we agreed upon, which was whatever they thought was good. I gave
yeah, you made them agree with you. Let's put it that way. I mean, even if they disagree with you, what are you going to do then? You're going to have to do more than just that. From what I can tell, though, I can definitely assure you that Grace, one of those their so-called business partner that you claim instead of just being a friend, because yeah, instead of calling someone a friend, you just call them something else. You overworked her. You also underpaid her while she was overworking. Like, you're bad with your numbers, Rebecca. I'm just saying.
them a reached upon agreement. Every single person I've ever contacted with was like that. And most of my
Every person out there has always did whatever they could do because I just want to make sure that they all have whatever they can do. Make it. You see what I'm getting out here, though? It's really no secret that Rebecca will do anything to make her numbers bigger or smaller, even though it should be a nice, sizable amount.
editors have liked me for that. I think I've had like 13 editors, and only 3, maybe 4 of them have had an issue with me. So 9
I wonder why. I mean, granted, I don't really have anyone working on with me on my channel, and frankly, I want to do whatever I can do with my own channel just to make it improve on itself, though. But this right here is where I have to fess up something. The fact that you yourself, Rebecca, you think that otherwise, this is gonna help people make your channel look better by comparison. I mean, I get you. She's gonna say, "Oh, but I didn't make it by any comparison to make it better." Even with that said, that still makes me wonder what the hell am I even listening to.
9 or 10 editors actually were fine with what I did. But I get it. In the end, even if one person has the issue, that's still a problem.
Wait,
And
wait,
some
wait. Wait. What?
I get it. In the end, even if one person has the issue,
Okay,
that's still a
but
problem.
for a boss, at least go over to the person to find out what's the issue. Otherwise, it's just gonna grow bigger and bigger.
And some editors didn't even want to get paid money, so that confused me a bit and got me a bit paranoid.
Okay, I will admit I don't work for anybody at this rate. I mean, granted, I have made banners and artwork for some people, but I keep getting them rejected. Yeah, back in the Mel situation video, I'll say this again though. The reason why I don't make banners for people or for a lot of fan arts because most of the time I get rejected by them. And even though I didn't ask for payment, I will say the most I can ask for is a thank you. That's all I can understand from.
I want to say, some people were mad at me that I didn't pay them enough, even though they told me prior that they didn't want to get paid. Some people also mad at me I didn't pay enough, even though the original price was what we agreed upon. Sometimes I might have forgotten to pay, but they never informed me for no reason. despite them having direct contact with me. It's weird. My life up to December 31st, 2019 was pretty good. But then January 1st, 2020 came and my world got turned upside down. Once the decade changed, it didn't happen all at once, but as time went on, it just got worse and worse. The peaks of these days, as in the worst of them, were probably June 6, 2021, the day I got fired, and October 8, 2021, when I got that video from John and actually lost another job the same day.
Oh, boo-hoo. Let me play a sad song for you on the world's violin. A quote from Mr. Krabs. Okay, you really expect me to believe that this was a coincidence or not? Even so, Rebecca, it's your job to do what your boss tells you. And even with that said, however, let me hear that phrase again. The world was gonna turn upside down. Rebecca, you do realize that outside of the US, which I don't know where specifically you live in the US, thank God. But even with that said, however, I still have yet to ask, what do you mean by the whole world turned upside down just by January 1st of 2020? Like, yeah, I will admit 2020 is not a great year for everybody, but even with that said, however, you make it sound like it was the end of the world coming to an end, which aside from the pandemic, I still have yet to ask, what does that have to do with everything else upon this? Like, I know I keep pausing every time, but this woman just keeps giving me more and more eh, beef, beef to put onto the plate. That's how much it has to be so much around there, though. Like, I get it, Rebecca. You were going through a lot of stress. You were going through a lot. I get that. I was going through a lot. Everybody was going through a lot, but not everything is always on you. Can you at least understand that?
I stand by what I said in the abuse video about John. One lie equals 1,000 lies. As in, if you tell one lie, it's assumed that everything you ever say is a lie because you can't be trusted then.
Yes, that's the person who lied multiple times. Like, so many times I can make a profit out of. Yeah, I'm not gonna say how many times you've lied because I lost count. But even with that said, if I had a nickel for every time you've lied, I probably have more than enough to give me a lot more money than I usually get for my job.
Like John did lie about Soul. I still don't know what that ending song is, the one he says it was too loud. That was entirely on him. I did not put that super loud song on to the point that I don't even know what the song's called.
Even with the editing process, though, you could have either asked him or you could have at least have like, if you didn't know what the music was, though, didn't they credit it or something? Because usually when you have music for yourself on videos, usually you either credit them of where they came from, or they usually just put them in the background. And speaking of which, though, I have to be honest, Rebecca, that Soul review, even though I haven't watched it, for what I've heard, it's really the music that you just played 30 seconds loop all the time, though. Like, you put it on repeat? Didn't they have an extended version? Or did you not find an extended version of it or anything? I'm just saying there's a reason why I use music that, while it's not the best music I put in my background, and even though not a lot of people can hear it, I still have yet to ask, though, did I put it on loop? No, I didn't, because it usually goes on extendedly.
There's also that whole "it's not my fault, you focus on the wrong things" mantra. That's a stupid mantra. On my second channel, I uploaded 3 of my old reviews from John that I fixed up. Certifiable Super Sitter, See Me, Feel Me, Know Me, and Soul.
Okay.
So
Okay, let me
John that
say
I fixed up. Certifiable Super Sitter.
this was actually my introduction to seeing something on the thumbnail with you, Rebecca. Like, I did not know who that witch was, and even with that said, this was back at the time in 2019 when I didn't even watch a lot of the Fairly Odd Parents. Yes, I will admit to that. But even with that said, however, I didn't even know who the fuck that witch was. I thought she was just some random character on Fairly Odd Parents until I watched the video and saying, yeah, this was definitely done by someone else. And here's a question I have to ask. This has been bothering me as well, though. Why would you insert your own OC on a thumbnail with may I remind you that was it on your channel. Now, I will admit, yes, it was edited by you, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you have to go ahead and do that, though. Like, I'm sorry if I'm staring at a lot of people, but even with that said, this is what bothers me about Rebeccah. She'll basically insert her own OC just to show that she is the one that edited and everything else, though. Like, okay, we get it. You edited it, but that doesn't mean you have to put your OC in there. Dear God, how stupid am I for realizing I thought that you were someone that was at least decent at the very least. Compared to Mr. Enter, though, which I can definitely say, Mr. Enter, while he does have his ups and downs all the time, I will admit, he's improved a lot more than you, and that's not something I want to say in the matter.
See me, feel me, know me, and so. So I actually didn't fix up at all. It's just to prove what the original was like. All of these, of course, are unlisted, and only meant for my closest friends to see. Currently,
Oh, your closest friends can see them. So you unlist them only for your friends to see. What if someone else saw it, even if they weren't your friend? What are you gonna do then?
I am 26 years old. Life expectancy is usually 78. That means I am 1/3 done with my life. A part of me
The hell do you know that? How the hell do you know how long you're gonna live? No, 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 no. I'm serious. How the hell do you know how long you're gonna live? That would be like me saying, "Oh, I'm gonna live this long" or whatever. Though, like the hell? I'm sorry, but what the hell am I even getting at? Are you saying to me, Rebecca, that you can find out how you done know? Did Sapphire tell you? Did some kind of woman with a crystal ball tell you of how long you're gonna live? Because from what I gather, that's just impossible. I mean, I don't know how long I'm gonna live, and I surely don't want to know about that.
Oh, concerned that I keep gaining subscribers, maybe I haven't peaked yet. That's wishful thinking.
Subscribers of all time, though. Okay, I will admit I'm nowhere popular. I will admit to that. But what do subscribers have to do with how long your gonna channel will be there or something like that? Now, granted, I know this video is being recorded from months after from a few months after she deleted her channel. But even with that said, I still have yet to ask, what the fuck does that have to do with everything else, though? Okay, let me really do this, Rebecca. I'll really do this. If I have 247 subscribers at the time of this recording, I'm gonna have to ask you this, though. Does that mean I know how long I'm gonna be doing that video for myself, though? I know some people are gonna say, hey, that's nowhere big. I will admit that. Yes, the 200 range is nowhere big, but even with that said, I don't go so far as to say, yeah, I know how long I'm gonna be living, and I'll probably still have those videos. My God, I can't even understand what this is supposed to be and what's the proof of all this.
But my videos don't get the big numbers that they used to. I used to get over 2,000 views a video under a week. Now I'm lucky if I get over 200 views in that same amount of time. The abuse video of mine, well, let's be honest, it should just be called 3 hours of unnecessary bitching at this point, because
Yeah, because from what I heard, at least from the same video Mr. Enter had, I still have yet to ask one question. One little question on that, though. Why would it take you over a year to make a video? Doesn't it take, like, say, some time, like, less than a year? I don't know, maybe, like, say, a week or so to do a video if it's more professionally made or something like that? I don't know how long these professional videos are supposed to be made because my videos are just as professional as a small toddler just saying, yeah, I might as well just do a video and do whatever. But even with that said, though, it doesn't take me over a year to do a video, and I would never do a vent video. Yeah, I do take-ons, but you get my point.
that's all that is. Or rather, an hour and a half of me talking about Mr. Enter than everything else. And a lot of the bad editing was on the fact that John didn't always send clips. Like, the only time I recall John sending anything for me to use for editing were Opposite Day, he sent the movie, the Family Guy episode Christmas Guy, he sent that one to me, and Thundercats Roar. That's all I remember. That's how I don't get.
This editing is so all over the place. Like, you see a lot of jump cuts here and there. And no, before you say anything, I did not edit those jump cuts. It was right there in the video without me doing anything.
watermark. Most of the things I didn't get sent. The fact that other editors like Crimson Mayhem had everything sent to him really bars me. Why does he get everything sent but not me?
Okay, I'm not a fan of Crimson Mayhem. I will admit that. I've never been a fan of him, and I never will be. But even with that said, however, his editing, while still slow, he did whatever he could, though.
Nicorama, I was like everything for Nicorama, I had to find the footage myself, which is why sometimes there were watermarks. I had to go to sites that didn't have.
I don't think we had random issues in Vegas each time, no matter what I did, though. Yeah, even wait, dead clips, dead clips. Okay, maybe it's just me being stupid. I probably have to ask, what is dead clips? I mean, like, does that mean that the clips aren't made anymore? Are they used in certain ways or something like that? Like, edit degrade aside, though, I still have yet to ask, what do dead clips have to do with it, though? Like, you could have at least fixed the rendering issues. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, though. I'm no editor myself, but even with that said, I'm just saying.
Have the best stuff. Eventually, I did find better sites. At the time, I used Kim Cartoon, which is a virus site today. It's better to use Watch Cartoon nowadays. Speaking of
Okay, I watch cartoons as well. I will admit to that. But even with that said, Rebecca, I still have yet to ask one thing though. What gives you the right to tell people what sites they should use? Granted, it is good advice, but that's like saying I'm gonna tell people to knock it off and they'll not just say, yeah, we'll try not to do it again, and they'll do it again anyways. Like, you do realize this improvising doesn't work in any stretch of the meanings, right?
Nicorama, I was only given 3 hours to edit each video, with Badger.
John's still bad for. Okay. On one hand, I will admit the Nicarama was pretty rushed. If anything, it could have been like, say, maybe if you would have watched the shows first, if you watched them for some time, though. I mean, hell, when I do my Magical Girl podcasts, I will admit I don't do them every day. I do them every other day, aside from the weekends. But even with that said, I usually watch the show first from a long time ago that I've seen, and if I have seen it, I usually give my thoughts on it and then do a video on it. Granted, after uh, that though, I do have times where I talk about what I think about the show overall though, but I'm just saying though, this could have been so much better if you didn't have the chance to, oh gee, I don't know, have one tell what's going on though. But even with that said, I still have yet to ask one question that's been in over my head for some time though. Like, what was John thinking about the Nicarama? I will admit, maybe it's a Nickelodeon anniversary, maybe, but I haven't watched any of the Nicarama, and I don't plan on watching them. Thank you very much for those who were going to ask. But even with that said, I thought that idea was pretty ridiculous anyway. Some of the stuff in there was pretty hokey from what I've seen on clips on other sites. But even with that said, that still kind of gets to me.
Direction. Some episodes of Nicorama did go a little extra hours. Like, I think the best edited one was The Legend of Korra because I put music in and much better edited footage. But that one took 8 hours to do. Meanwhile,
8 hours, while the rest took 3 hours? What? Okay, maybe I'm reading too much into it though, but even with the Legend of Korra, what? Yeah, better music and better editing there? Okay, aside from the better stuff, by the way, I'm gonna have to say this right here and now. I can't judge it for myself because I haven't seen it, but even so, better editing or not, your editing still is still trash to me, and so is everybody
all
else.
the rest, I had 3 or 4 hours. Robot and Monster was done in 4 hours, but right after that review came out, Mr. Enters told me that I had to do everything in 3 hours.
It's $30 of the rest of the. Like, even with that said, however, I still have yet to ask though, if John really thought this through better, maybe he could have made them like, this is what I do. When I do my Magical Girl podcast, I don't do all 31 of them on this month though. That's ludicrous because I don't have energy to do all 31 of my favorite Magical Girl shows. And what's more, I have more than that coming along the way though. but I usually try my best to spread it out more. Like 13 this month, and if I ever do more of the same series I'm doing, though, of the same Magical Girl podcast, I usually have to say to myself, I'll wait until another time to do so. As for this video, yeah. Though at the same time, however, it's John. It's his channel. He can do pretty much whatever he wants with his channel as long as he enjoys doing the videos he makes. Oh my god. Like, I don't even know what to say at this point.
Yeah, here is a screenshot to prove my
Yeah, we
case.
see it.
Speaking of bad direction, the scripts were written horribly towards the editor. Want to know why this cat looks like a Neopet bit has no cat?
I'm not going to defend things like not fully exploring shows, factual errors, and shoddy editing work. This cat looks like a Neopet. What cat? There is no cat in the shot. You see, this happens when you don't have enough time to look over said shoddy editing.
What cat should be? Yeah, I'll get to it in a bit. Just
Script does.
wait. Ads.
Back on.
Script does not comes from.
Well, you could at least, oh, I don't know, watch the episodes to find out and then jot it down so you won't forget. Or better yet, scroll through the episodes to find out so you wouldn't have to waste so much time just to find it. Look, I don't watch the Adventures of Kid Danger, and I don't plan on watching Henry Danger anymore after what happened, though, because those shows give me such a headache enough already. You're free to like the shows if you like to, guys, but even with that said, you could have at least, at the very least, though, it's really best for you to at least try to find it, though. Like, maybe look it up on the Kid Danger Wikipedia or something like that, or something like that. I don't really know what to say about it because, frankly, I don't care. And even with that said, I still think you could have at least provided a lot more subtext to it.
So, which is why Enter in his videos on me mentioned that. But also, I can correct it. Like, I have corrected it since.
This cat looks like a Neopet.
So,
If you could correct that, you could have corrected your editing and not to be such a shitbag all the time.
what made me want to take down my abuse video? Because it wasn't who I was. I thought about it long and hard, and I decided
Nice
going
try,
forward
but it's
that me
been
digging my
archived.
own grave is not what I want. What I want to do is entertain people, to make them
Entertain
smile,
people.
to laugh, to have people be happy. I
Okay, okay. I don't even know if that was supposed to be a joke or smile or whatever. But what the fuck was I even getting myself into, though? Like, what the flying hell?
been that way for a very long time, possibly for the entirety of my life. My actions have no excuses. I will not defend myself on anything. I've seen it all, like people get mad at me for blaming others like Enter's team. That was wrong for me to do. Regardless of who is right, my anger was not justified.
And yet you would go on and just shit on Mr. Enter again, even after this video came out. Again, I know this video's been archived. I know that, everybody. But even with that said, I still have yet to ask, what does this apology video have to do with you who saying that you don't want to drag anyone, Mr. Enter or his team, through the mud, and yet you still drag them through the mud, regardless of what's been happening, Rebecca. You've been doing this for God knows how long, and you haven't stopped doing it until what, 2 months ago when you deleted your entire channel and make sock puppet accounts. Like, I've been watching that video for God knows how long now, but even with that said, I still don't think you'll ever change. I never thought I'd say this, but Mr. Enter has improved on himself a lot more than you have, and again, that's not a term I make lightly.
23% rating, and that's just in less than one video. Only has a 27 comparison. The Mr. Enter video that I made originally in 2021 has a 27% approval rating currently. Meanwhile, the recent Abuse video only has a 23% rating, and that's just in less than 1 week.
Oh, so you've been keeping track of score. If you can keep track of the score, you could have kept track on a lot of other stuff, Rebeccah. I mean, sure, it's not easy, but come on. With this amount of time you've been doing this, you still don't seem to understand, though. That addressing my abuse, or as I like to call it, addressing my stupidity like I did on the Take On video, you still haven't learned your lesson.
If it was up longer, it would have been in the teens, possibly in the single digits. A lot of it was trolls. I will say, it is a waste of time that people did to respond to that and put my OC in a clown outfit and to change the video title to My Narcissism. I do get social cues.
Yeah. About the narcissism thing, yeah. Let's be honest, Rebeccah. You are so narcissistic. You've just said in the video, this video right here, that you wish more people were like you, kind, generous, caring for others. Well, I hate to break it to you. Not everyone in the world is going to be like that. Even the most positive people out there have their own issues as well, though. You can be positive or negative. There are still issues that people still have, even to this day. Hell, I used to be the most positive out there when I was a child, but ever since I grew older, my mental health issues aside, I can't understand that. Though then again, I didn't spend time much as a kid, but still.
I really do. But the internet is extremely difficult for me to process, especially with known liars. I don't see their faces, all I see is text.
Okay, but even so, Rebeccah, this is what I mean when I say you really don't seem to understand what you're dealing with. Say what you will about the social cues, though. I mean, yeah, I'll admit the internet's a big place. It's hard to tell what we all know. But even with that said, though, there was still a lot of people who were telling you what were you doing that was wrong, and yet you still haven't learned anything. Keep repeating myself. Like, this woman just brings my brain into insanity.
Process. So saying that I'm great at them is incorrect. So saying that.
Yeah, and says the person who says these good traits. No, I'm not over that yet.
But not when the room is dark. When John tried to use that party comparison, or the 3DS, no. When John tried to use that party comparison, I have no idea if he meant just the server or me as a person. Maybe in the server that he was unsure, but as a whole, I 100% disagree. It's why I got Chelsea in for a testimony to prove that I care about others. But it could just be one.
Wait, with Chelsea? You mean the girl that you told her about to do in the video with her mother having a fart fetish? What? Okay, first of all, the fart fetish itself is pretty disgusting. I can't explain how much that disgusts me, because that's really what I have to say here. And second thing, I have to ask one question though. What does it have to do with everything else you've been doing so far to prove that you have social cues? Maybe I'm a bit too blind to reality, but even with that said, however, that still bothers me that saying about the fart fetish was really on that. Yeah, because when I help someone else, I help them with their fart fetish, even though you asked them to do it, like John said. But even with that said, however, I can't explain how much that really disgusts me.
Once again, not fucking listening to John like everyone else says. I regret talking about his Homer Batman review. It's still a bad review and my least favorite review from him ever. I get why John said the expression, I'd rather get raped than to be accused of rape. I really do. But to me, it was worded terribly in that.
Oh, is it worded terribly? He was saying that he'd rather be raped instead of accused of rape. In other words, he didn't want to go through a situation where he gets either falsely accused or someone who really did it. How is that worded terribly? Oh my God, Rebecca. Like, I'm not going to go into detail. I've went through this stuff multiple times myself. And my mental issues aside, though, even I'll admit I'd rather go through it than just getting accused of it. How is that worded wrong? Such a pathetic piece of shit, Rebecca. My God. Like, even last night when I was re-watching this video, and yes, my head still hurts from doing so because my aneurysm still hasn't went away since I've been getting up to it at this point. But let me ask again, how is that worded wrong? Are you telling me, Rebecca, you'd rather be accused of it? Okay. Remember this for a second later because it's gonna bite her in the ass. Trust me when I say it, it's
One
gonna
thing
bite
that
her in
did
the
make
ass.
me sad was how much I helped Hope out, and then she threw me under the bus.
And you stop misgendering Wes. It's Wes. Wesley or Wes for short. First off. Second, you claim that you hate dead naming people and all that stuff, yet you're dead naming him anyways. And plus, Wes is not she, her, and hers anymore. Wes is a trans man, and at this rate, you're still misgendering her. You're still misgendering him.
She wanted to kill herself 20 times, and I helped her avoid.
I won't go into reasons why. That's private information. Oh, and you're able to say about that the suicide thing? He has never said anything to you about this, not even in public. Like, why would you say that in the video about addressing your abuse, quote unquote, and then post it on your video? He did not say anything to you to say this. He did not. And yet, you go ahead and do this shit already.
That each and every time. From March 2020 to September 2020, I helped her. And I regret not having the DM screenshots/server screenshots to prove my point. Even then, I deleted my original Discord account in December 2021 due to excessive harassment. One thing that I shouldn't have talked about in my abuse video was Coda. Me mentioning his private life was definitely uncalled for, and there is no excuse. There are no excuses for my actions.
There's no excuse for you to talk about anyone's private life or information or anything like that. Like, Rebecca, do you not realize exposing someone's private information is disastrous to do? Like, you could damage their lives that way? Like, even with Coda's diaper fetish, which I'm not going to go into because some of my audience is going to get me keyhawed for that, but let me just ask you the question. Why would you say this out loud when you yourself have a cup for art with yourself into a cub and then have a diaper on there too? Like, I have no idea what you're saying here. You say you don't that Coda's diaper fetish is something that you yourself don't ever want to go through or something like that because that just proves you have PTSD. Okay, for one thing's for sure, it's one thing to have PTSD when your dog gets put down, but it's another when you blame Coda for having a diaper fetish all because of that. Though he didn't even do anything to you. You're just sticking a fork up his ass because that's the kind of person you are. Then.
Here are some of the most notable explanations. I got sexually assaulted in the fall of 2018, having PTSD for 9 months.
Oh, so you went through sexual assault. So did I, but I don't go so far as to say that my PTSD goes away in 9 months. You do realize people who go through mental damage like that or anything else, it's gonna stick with them. It's not gonna magically disappear like that. Look, I'm sorry for being pissy or bitchy at this point, everybody, but hey, when you're dealing with an angry flamingo, this is what happens. Like, you went through sexual assault, which, Rebecca, I get it. I get that it's hard. I get that you've went through a lot. I get that it's hard to go through this. But that still raises the question of why the hell would you think that no one else would notice how much this would hurt people too? Like, when people get hurt, they're going to remember that. It's not going to just have a reset button saying, okay, reset button, turn on, and then it'll magically disappear that way. No, this isn't like a phone where you can reset it, or any kind of electronic device where you can reset things and then just program it back again. No, when something happens to you, you as a person, it's going to stick with you. And eventually, even if you don't think about it, it's going to just fuck over your mind. Fucks over my mind. I don't see how you can get over in more time than you may think.
Or me dealing with an abusive ex-girlfriend who manipulated me in the summer 2020.
Sure you
making
didn't
me
use
make
her?
terrible decisions like editing Lights Out fast, or that dumb Animac idea that I couldn't contact Hope to cancel earlier because I came up with the idea.
You rushed.
She accepted it, and I was traveling to Ohio
it's
for
Wesley,
fun.
it's
But
me.
by the time that I got Wi-Fi there,
My God, this misgendering thing is so not appalling, because I know Rebecca would do this, but even so, it's still absurd for you to keep misgendering Wesley. Like, he didn't do anything to you. You gave him like 5 days, which, as someone who reviews cartoons, you should know it doesn't take more than half a brain to realize that it's not going to take 5 days to do an animatic. I don't know what you were thinking, but even animatics take longer than 5 days. Like, seriously, this ain't like, say, you can work on an episode in less time like a Go Anime video. Dear Lord mercy. Oh, and that's abusive girlfriend thing to you? Again, I have to ask, are you sure you weren't the one who abused her? Are you sure about that?
she already exposed I couldn't have told her to cancel in time, and this was back in July 2020. My ex-girlfriend, from what I remember, basically said make everything go fast, do all this stuff because the world's about to end because, you know, the pandemic,
Oh
and
my
we
God,
both
she's
thought that
making
we
a
were
lot
all
of shit
going to
up her
die
ass.
that year.
Speaking of Lights Out, let me fix that mountain sketch.
Sorry, son. I moved our house to the top of a hill because the view is so much better.
Oh my God, that's just terrible. I am not gonna mince words.
Said I need everything spelled out for me, which, I gotta be honest, yes,
I thought you said
I'm
that
sorry.
you understood social cues, and now you're saying that they need to be spelled out for you? Make up your mind. Which is it? Do you need someone to spell out for you or not? Seriously, I mean, I could be socially awkward and be blind to myself if I have to be, but at this rate, it just pisses me off. You don't realize what the hell you're saying at this point. You keep going back and forth on this so-called apology. This apology, if you would call it that, quote unquote, it's right there. It's not gonna go away. I'm not gonna forgive you, Rebecca. No one else is gonna forgive you, and frankly, I don't think anyone should. What in God's fucking name?
Sorry, I really am. When I got fired,
So
I just want to know
what?
why. That's the only thing I want to know. Why? I know why now. My editing was bad. I asked for too much from a couple of people
Okay, let me just skip
at
ahead
a
to the
harsh
Necropod
deadline.
situation
I didn't pay
because I really need
you.
to address
The
something
text
here.
I put in was just
This is Necropod situation. I need to address something here.
hell. I was half and half. Oh, so
Yeah.
what? remove it prior is beyond my...
Those other
Google Docs once. Only given a Google Docs once.
Yeah, where's the...
You came out. But never anything happened. But never... If you have an issue with me, you must tell me right away.
So you're saying that if they have an issue with you, they should come to you right away? Okay. What if you're working? What if you're busy? What if you're still with your family? What if everything I could mention? I could make a bunch of what ifs and I still wouldn't get a fucking answer. And hell, when you said that if anyone has an issue, this is where the Necopon situation gets into my fucking nerves as well.
Please, we only got a few episodes left. We're almost done.
Yeah,
Those were
shut
his
up.
actual
I don't
words.
care about
He didn't
this.
want
I
to
don't care
fire
about
me
more-
or
let's
see me
see what the Necopon situation.
to you. I've been on YouTube for almost 10
I don't
years.
care.
Me, Blue plays on a nice ending on. Imagine what my life would never forgive. Stop. Emails and even videos as evidence. But Nick
Okay,
still
here we
manipulated
are.
me into
Here's the
thinking that she
Necopon
wasn't.
situation.
A part of me on why I wish we could have parted ways on a nicer note, on a better note. I even planned on leaving. I guess I kept going because I don't forgive John. I will never forgive John. Ever. If you
And
forgive
yet-
John, that's perfectly fine.
This is one thing I need to ask. If you don't forgive John, then why are you going on about your videos back then when you were still around? Why are you going ahead shit talking him still, along with his coworkers and everything? That still bothers me. Like, you say you don't forgive John, yet you still do this shit. Like, what in the name of sanity?
I won't stop you, but for me, he's done too much damage to me to really care
You
for him
did the damage
ever
to
again.
yourself, lady.
The last issue that we get to talk about
Here we
today is
are.
my biggest fuck up, regarding Necopan. I fucked up big time with Necopan. People tell me that she was a creep, with emails and even videos as evidence.
She was not a creep. A creep is not someone who goes after children. That's a child predator. A child predator is what Necopon, I don't know if I can say is or was, because I don't know if she's still on YouTube by a different name. I don't really know, and frankly, I really don't want her getting in contact with anybody, really, especially for how much damage she's been doing.
But Neko manipulated me into thinking that she wasn't. A part of me on why I didn't ban her earlier was that in 2019 I accused someone else of being a creep, but then they got their lawyer to try to sue me.
So by calling someone a creep, they get a lawyer on you? What? Okay, if I'm gonna riddle you this, then Rebecca, what does that have to do with something else, though? I don't know what to say at this point. Like, you don't seem to know the difference between a creep or a child predator. They're both different things. Learn it.
But I was able to avoid it because I took the video down, and I was afraid if I called Neko a creep, I would have had the same issue. Plus, she wasn't arrested, so that kind of had problems.
Like I said in the video I did, like everyone else said before me, and I'll say what everyone else has said before me. Child predation is not determined by the court of law, nor is pedophilia. Or how about say this though? She wasn't a pedophile. She was a child predator. That's not the same thing though. She did so much damaging things to these kids, and yet you say you didn't allow grooming. Well, what the fuck do you call this, Rebecca? For 8 months. 8 fucking months you've allowed a child predator in the server, and you didn't do dick all about anything, all because of one simple request for the look. A lot of people were so one of the victims had emailed you, messaged you, and so many things, and yet you flat out ignored it for 8 months. And not only that, you had two others, one of them for 4 days, and I can already hear some people are gonna say in my audience, "Oh, but 4 days is Not as bad as 8 months. Even with that said, that's still more than enough time for the child predator going after the kids. And as for the last one, for about what? About a year or over a year? You just don't care, Rebeccah. These kids have been harmed, they've been scarred for life, and so many others, and yet you didn't give one little simple flying finger about it, all because they harassed you or something like that? Dear Light Almighty, I can't believe I'm saying this out of my fucking mouth. My aneurysm aside, even though I'm going through it again, thanks, Rebeccah, I still have yet to ask how is this gonna work.
I did keep a creep on my server for 8
She
months.
was not
I
a
will
creep.
admit
She
that.
was a
But
child
I did that
predator.
only because I thought she wasn't a creep. And she was nice to the people on my server. Until
Okay. Nice to people. Nice, 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 nice. That terrible excuse of a word really bothers me. Because she was nice, Rebeccah, I'm going to say this right here and now. A lot of nice people is how they manipulate you. I mean, sure, some people could say I'm the nicest person out there, and I could be like, okay. But with the nicest person out there, there's still going to be issues with that person. You could be the most nicest person out there, and you'd still have fucking issues. Dear Lord Almighty, this is just so bothersome. It pisses me off.
I learned that she wasn't. Like, if I had known sooner that she was a creep, I would have banned her immediately.
Go back to what I said. One of the victims has messaged you, they have emailed you, and so many others, and yet you didn't give a sign of a flying fuck about it. You just didn't care, though. This is what I mean when I say the addressing my abuse video. Okay, if anything, no, I will say this though. I didn't want to keep that reaction video because honestly, I didn't really have all of the things I have to say. But this is like that video, except only a half an hour or long. And what's more, it doesn't even matter what she has done. Like Rebeccah, you can apologize all you want. Action speaks louder than words, and you lack those actions entirely. Like it's not fun anymore. It's not. Like the fact that you say that you're sorry and then you go, but it's not showing that you're sorry. It's showing that you can't apologize for your action and so you can't apologize for your misactions. And what's more, a lot of people aren't going to forgive you for this. Hell, I don't forgive you for what you've done. And this is coming from someone who was a former fan of yours. Like, what the fuck does a woman thinks she's doing? Does she really expect everyone to forgive her after giving her a slice of cake and think that's gonna prove everyone that's all right? We're almost to the end, guys, so hold on a little tighter.
Neko is one of the main reasons why I don't allow minors anymore on my server. Which, in hindsight, social
Minors,
media should not have minors, but again, another story.
really?
People like Phantom Star and Kai Smash Universe told me that Neko was a good person, so I listened to them
Yeah, but
and
they have
left it at
no
that. At present, they
contact
both
with them
think
anymore.
that she's a horrible person. Like the Nikorama statement. I sadly don't have the screenshot to prove my side.
So
And I'm
sad.
sorry to Neko's victims that I hurt by not bringing her to justice sooner, by not banning her much earlier in life.
Yeah, I could have.
To end this off, I'm gonna follow this catchphrase I invented 5 years ago. Be better today than yesterday. It's a quote I still love to this day, and even follow. But
Yeah, newsflash, you didn't come up with the phrase. I looked it up, and it's really written by Lorenzo Snow. He was the one who written the quote, not you. Seriously, it's called "Be Better Today Than You Were Yesterday" and "Be Better Tomorrow Than You Are Today." That was written by Lorenzo Snow. Well, that's one way to end the video. Well then, dear Lord, that's you're so bad with your editing, it hurts. For me to see that's where you ended it off. Wow. So, in conclusion, I think you can already tell what I'm going to say here. Rebeccah, you already had your chance. You had no idea what you were getting into, And what's even worse, you're never going to change. You're never going to prove anyone that you're going to change. And what's more, your actions were just horrendous here. Like, the fact that you think an apology video is just going to make it work for you is just not going to work in the slightest. I don't know what else to say here. I already did my take on, so if you want to on Star Giant Productions or Rebeccah or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't really care at this point, but I'll leave that in the link in the description as well, though. So, final thoughts. This is like the abuse video, except only a half an hour long, and what's more, it's really stupid to the point where she thinks everyone's gonna forgive her in one slide, which is not how that works. You can prove tell you one though that this is gonna help, but still though. And Rebeccah, I highly doubt you're gonna watch this video along with my take on. But even with that said, however, I'm still gonna say this right here and now. You are not sorry. You are not sorry for what you have created, what you have done, and even so, it still bothers me that you think that everyone's gonna just forgive you. I know some people are gonna say she's no longer on YouTube and she's just making sock puppet accounts on John's channel, just from that Star Giant Productions belongs in prison video. Yeah, I know. But even with that said, I just wanted to do this video because I'm just bored and I just want to get my side out of the way first. With that said, however, thank you all so much for listening to this video. And hopefully by Monday, when I do my next episode of the podcast, it'll calm me down. My aneurysm aside, I need to at least rest before working. But until then, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay flamingo-tastic. See ya.